Okay, great. So from here, I hope you can all see my screen on the presentation that we have here today. So hopefully you're joining us because you are, thanks Chris, I appreciate that. Hopefully you're joining us today because you're interested in the topic about how to do some online writing and some tips around that, specifically around promoting your program or your service area here at DVC. So we're going to be talking specifically about how to do that with our website and some strategies for success on how to do that. So this is my first Zoom presentation, so just bear with me. We'll see how it goes. So first of all, welcome. For those of you who don't know me, I'm Lori Golden, and I'm the website content coordinator in the Communications and Marketing Office. And today what we're going to do is talk about how to create clear, engaging content in order to attract and engage prospective students as well as current students in program areas. So the first thing that we want to talk about is creating student-friendly content. So whether you are a faculty member or working in a service area, you might like to learn how to better promote your program to students online, how to increase class enrollment. And I'm getting a notice that there's other people trying to pop in, so just bear with me for a second as I admit a couple more people joining us. Great. Okay, so if you're just joining us, welcome. So we're talking about how to create student-friendly content online, specifically on dvc.edu, and how to reach prospective students. And in order to do that online, now more than ever, we need to stand out, especially with what's going on with COVID-19 and the demand for information online now more than ever to really stand out and be clear in our communications. So we need to do that through making a genuine connection with our audience online and providing them with helpful information and tips. And we do that on our website. The goal is by creating clear and engaging communications with our students. So what are our objectives today to talk about? We're going to cover how to engage with our students, both prospective and current, using clear, concise online content and what that actually means, how to write that way and create content in that way, and call to actions that are clear and what those are. We're going to talk a little bit about student-friendly language, again, to promote your program or service area and encourage enrollment. And doing this through also using clear language principles and talking about what that is and why it's important online now more than ever. And then we're going to go over some examples of this so you can actually see what we're talking about with web page copy. So the first thing that we want to do with our audience is create a connection with them. And we do that through primarily on the website, our brand, our personality as a college. So we do that through a branded tone and voice. And that matters so that students can identify with us and connect with us. And it allows us to create alignment with our students and our prospective students so that they can relate and resonate with us as a college. So students are looking not only for an education when they come to school, but to also feel connected to a community, a sense of belongingness. So we also want to create that sense through the website, now that that is primarily their first impression of us. So we want to be able to attract them, engage them, and delight them. So our voice and tone then truly extends through our website and how we write on the website. And we want to keep in mind as we do this and as we create content that students are really scanning our web pages. They're not actually, the behavior online is not really to sit and read lots and lots of information, it's to scan. And especially if people are using mobile devices, we want to keep this in mind, which is, we know, happening more and more now. So in order to attract, engage, and delight our audience, it's really critical for us to communicate with consistency when we do that. Sometimes when we see our web pages, we notice that there's lots of different voices and tones going on. And so from an end user experience, that can create a little bit of a disconnect or a discrepancy. So we want to try to have consistency in our communication and convey that information as easy as possible for people to understand. And we want to connect with our students and prospects in a way that builds trust. And we do that through creating customer-friendly information. So let's talk a little bit, just briefly, about this student journey. Good content here along the student journey really helps set the stage for impact at decision time, for enrollment time. So students and parents, when they're looking together at colleges, they have lots of questions in their minds about what they're searching for in a college. So the college, which is able to satisfy them by clearing their doubts and providing them with the best answers, will stand out in winning their hearts too. So that's just something to keep in mind. So as we move forward, how do we do this? So again, we do this through DVC's tone, which is positive, knowledgeable, and conversational on the website, authentic and engaging. And here's how more specifically we can do this. We can create content on our web pages or online that's easy to digest using some best practices that we've developed, and we've gone through the communications committee to create a guideline and tips for you. We want to use language online that's action oriented. And so here's where that call to action comes in that I talked about earlier. And a call to action is simply an invitation for your audience to do something, whether it's to find more information, to learn more, to download a tip sheet, to watch a video, to enroll, whatever that next step is after they read that piece of content. That's what your call to action is. And we want to use an active voice when we're speaking to our audience. So I know a lot of times people want to write more in an academic tone as they would either for a class or class material. But in writing for the website and engaging a prospective student or current student, we want to think about talking as if you're talking to one person and speaking directly to them. And so using words like you or your, we or our. So again, dvc.edu, our website, is now the first impression students have because of our current climate with looking at colleges. So our web communications are really critical entry point to introducing students to us. And so our website comes in really handy for that purpose. It helps us communicate our unique selling point above other colleges, above our competitors, to programs, about our programs to our students. And so one of the best ways to do this is through using what's known as plain language or clear language. We'll talk about that more in a moment. And doing that through brief, engaging content, such as program descriptions. So what is a student looking for when they come to a college website? Primarily, they're looking for information, right? They're looking for relevant, accurate information, tips, and resources. And so this is an important thing to keep in mind if you are a content editor on our website or you have a staff member that is. A lot of times we get excited about an event or a guest speaker coming up or something of that nature. You update a web page and then it quickly goes out of date and it gets forgotten about. And so from an end user experience, again, a student may come to some web pages and see things on the web page from like 2018, and that creates a little bit more either distrust or a disconnect in our communications. So we want to stay relevant. We want to include helpful tips, helpful resources, and make it easy to navigate. And that's sort of the next key thing to think about after your information. And then we also want to include some thought when we create content about reading comprehension on the website. even though we're writing for a college audience, writing for the website is a little bit different in the sense of what we addressed earlier, that people are kind of quickly scanning for information. They're coming to a web page based on answers that they hope to find specifically. So they want to be able to find what they need very quickly because they're scanning. They want to be able to understand what they find when they get there very quickly. And they want to be able to use that information to do a call to action to accomplish a next step or a task. So we also know from sort of behavior online, how people read websites, that they won't really stick around if the content isn't clear. And they won't really stay and read the page if the words and sentences aren't really quick and easy to understand, simple, and digest. So how do we do that? How do we make the web content easy to digest for both clarity and comprehension? So here's where those best practices come in that I spoke of earlier. We want to sort of take the content that we have and see if we can break it up into shorter sentences rather than longer run-on sentences. That may seem obvious, but you'd be surprised how much of that there is and what a tendency there is naturally to just write more versus less. We want to also, as a best practice, add bulleted lists where appropriate in order to break up content. So sometimes in a program area, you may have information such as what students can do with their degree once they graduate. So I've seen sentences where they say, when you complete this program, you'll be able to work in this, that, and the other field, on and on and on, like 10 different options, which is great that there's so many options, but it becomes a bit of a cognitive load on the reader. So we want to be able to break that up, use the same information, but just create a bulleted list out of it. And that way it's easier for them to scan and identify. We want to reduce or eliminate use of academic jargon if possible, again, just for the ease of the reader. And also with that, any confusing terms. And if possible, use shorter words. So thinking about in a sentence, if you can use the word exam versus examination, or qualify versus eligibility. And we have a list of such words like this in our best practices online that we've gone through with the communications committee in order to help just, again, make sentences easier to understand and explanations about our services easier to understand. So again, why does this really matter? It may seem really simplistic in theory, but it really matters for, again, that reading comprehension online and for greater accessibility. So think about the students where English isn't their first language, or maybe their parents are helping them and English is not their first language. And again, when we have more information, longer sentences, bigger paragraphs, a whole web page full of paragraphs, it just becomes that much more of an extra cognitive load on our readers. So again, we want to simplify, use alternative words, and help just increase the readability of that text. So here's some examples of clear phrasing. Again, instead of just saying for more information, we can say learn more. It's the same thing, but just easier to read. Instead of saying eligibility requirements, we could say to qualify. Instead of saying semester by semester course sequence recommendation, we could say recommended course sequence by term. So again, we've gone through the communications committee to create guidelines around this, or best practices really, and they have been approved and we have them available on our website, and I'll be providing a link to this later on in the presentation, just to help you as faculty or staff have sort of a go-to guide or quick reference for creating clear student-friendly content. So here's that link, and we'll also be providing it at the end. And it will be in this recording. So let's look at some actual website examples to put this into some context. We have a web page that we use primarily for our marketing externally. So when we run external ads on Google, we drive people, prospective students, to a page specifically called dvc.edu/now. And our audience for this specific page are prospective students. not current students, but they're looking for higher ed and community college options, and they may or may not know what they're interested in. When we think about their emotions, how they're coming to the page, they might be excited as a first-time college student, nervous and overwhelmed, especially now with what's going on. And then we want to think about the purpose of the web page when we're creating content or writing online. We want to describe clearly what we can do, and again, all of those next steps for the student. And then the last thing that we think about from our perspective in marketing, and what we would like you to start thinking about, is more of the reading level. We have a readability test tool that we use in marketing to sort of see where we're at once we do create content. How difficult is it for people to read? And I'm going to show you that at the end of the presentation when I can toggle back and share that particular screen with you. But what we do is try to make this so that it's more of about an 8th to 10th grade reading level. And that might seem low for a lot of people, especially college and academia. But for the website, or for any website in any industry on the web, it is really the recommended reading level to write at. Again, because of all the things that we've been talking about, the end user behavior on websites, the now use of mobile devices, the scanning, and so that people can just find what they need really easily. So we'll show you how that works a little bit later. But let's use an example right now. So the copy on this dvc.edu/now page, I took as an example just to show you what we've had in the past. This is actual text we had on that page before. So you can see it's a larger paragraph, and I'll just read it quickly. At Diablo Valley College, your success is our first priority. We have earned our place as one of the nation's most successful community colleges. We offer excellent transfer opportunities, exceptional career and job training programs, and relevant and engaging community-based course offerings. In both Pleasant Hill and San Ramon, students engage with high-quality instruction and support services designed for excellence and equity in student learning. So, is that an accurate description? Yes, of course it is. But is it a lot to read? Yes, it is. And there's some longer sentences with, I don't want to say run on, but just more difficult, again, for cognitive load to read. Like, we offer excellent transfer opportunities, exceptional career and job training programs, and relevant and engaging community-based course offerings, right? So when we ran that through that readability test tool I was just talking about, the average grade level for that is a 15. So we thought, how can we dial that down just a little bit, and also think about what is the student looking for rather than what we want to say, because there is a difference in that, right? So when we think about what we want to say and represent as a college may be different than what the student is coming to the page to find out, or what they're most interested in. So instead, we started to speak directly to the student and say, do you want to work right away in a new career? Are you looking to transfer to a four-year college? At Diablo Valley College, we make it easy for you to do both, and your success is our priority. So now we're sort of speaking directly to them and asking them how they identify. Are they looking to get a career ed program and get out working right away? Or are they looking to actually do something different and look to transfer? And then we said we offer great career and job training programs and can help you plan for successful transfer. In both Pleasant Hill and San Ramon, you'll enjoy high quality instruction, small class sizes, and online options. And this grade level, when we plugged it in, was an average of 7. So it's a little bit different context, but it's speaking directly to the student and telling them about our college and how we can help them. So here's another example. DVC offers more than 30 career education programs and over 75 certificates and degrees that provide students with the educational background and training they need to achieve their career goals. DVC's excellent reputation is a distinct advantage to our students as they compete in today's demanding job market. And again, this is an average of a 14 when we plugged it into that readability tool. So is the information accurate? Yes. But is it a little bit heavy on the eyes and to read? Yes. So we thought, how do we break this down and make this more engaging? and easier to read. So we took that text, we added some images on the web page, and underneath one image, we said, are you on the fast track? Our career education programs provide in-demand skills you can afford within a short time frame, right? So now if they do identify with this and resonate with this, they have a link where they can click to and get a deeper dive of that information without having to put all of that up front for them to read. And this is a grade level 8. The second example, again with another engaging image, says choose from over 40 certificates to get started or more than 60 AA and AS degrees. Gain transfer credit to four-year colleges. So side by side, they can quickly scan and read and say, okay, do I identify with this, yes or no, and choose a link, again, to get that deeper dive information. And this was a grade level 7. So a little bit more visually engaging, easier to read, and call to actions, which are those links to a deeper dive. So how do we put all of this into practice? We have those best practices I mentioned earlier from the Communications Committee and their clear language recommendations. We have this now on our Communications and Marketing webpage and links to that there. And if you or your staff can sort of start thinking about this and moving in this direction now, it will be easier as we update the website. So we're working on new designs for the website, new program pages. As we get to that point, they're not complete yet, but when they are ready, we're going to be looking to how do we refresh and update the program pages with these concepts in mind. So it's part of my job to be here to help and consult and help the faculty and staff with that. And additionally, Ken is here more for technical assistance, OU campus training, access, questions about password, login, that sort of stuff. He's more on the tech side, I'm more on the content writing side. So I know that was a little bit of a maybe quick review, but I want to open it up and just see if anybody has any questions. I think I've unmuted people. So if you do have a question. No questions.
Now you know how our online instructors feel sometimes.
That's okay. I just want to make sure technically it's working.
It is. I just want to mention that Kim Christiana worked on that document with me very diligently as well. So, actually,
the guidelines. So what I can do is actually, since we still have a little bit of time, I'm going to exit out of, if it will let me do this, exit out of that and just show you that readability tool. So it's a WebEx called webfx.com, and it's a readability test tool. And what I do is use this second tab here called Test by Direct Input. So I plugged in one of those paragraphs that I reviewed earlier as an example. And when we click this button down here for Calculate Readability, it plugs it into an algorithm and tells you what your average grade level is. So it's just a little bit of a tool that you can use if you feel like, gosh, I have a lot of information that I want to say, and I don't know how this is going to come across. This is one tool that you can use to help you identify that. And then on our marketing, communications and marketing section of the website, within the DVC style guides, logos, templates, and forms page, we've included some resources. At the bottom, we have the class promotion guide for how to better promote your class if you're having trouble with enrollment, as well as these two new best practices that I just mentioned in this workshop. So the clear language guide, that is the draft the Communications Committee is working on. And this is sort of a quick reference best practices tip sheet. So if we click on that, This is downloadable as a PDF. And again, it kind of just reviews everything that we talked about in the presentation today and those principles about simplifying content, how to do that, and the readability tool. So I will ask one more time if there's any questions. Everyone's so quiet.
Great job.
Oh, thank you. Well, if there are any questions, again.
Yes.
Yes, Brett.
Hello.
Yes.
My name is Mararim. Do you see me?
I see your name.
Okay.
I don't see you, but I can hear you.
Okay.
There you are.
Okay. This morning, as a matter of fact, we were discussing in the Department of Political Science about how to encourage students to enroll in DVC. And maybe this is connected with the work you are doing. I am the advisor to the Model United Nations Club in DVC. And last year we were planning to have a conference on the Model United Nations. And we were planning to invite students from all the high schools in Contra Costa County. But unfortunately, it was delayed because some teachers of the high schools told us that they were not ready to participate. But as soon as the distancing will end, and hope that the Model United Nations Club, DVC Model United Nations Club, would be working again, we would like to have the support of the administration to approach all the high schools in the county and to invite at least 10, 15 students from each high school to participate in one-day conference in DVC. And in this way, we can present to them what we are doing here in DVC. And many of my colleagues in the political science department promised that they would help in promoting this idea. So is this consistent with what you are doing?
Well, I don't know if Chris can touch a little bit more on what you're talking about. It sounds more like you're speaking about outreach to high school students and inviting them in for events.
Yeah, there is all over the United States, in every college or university, there is Model United Nations Club. This club would be involved in discussing domestic as well as international issues. And we have been doing this in DVC for a long time. And normally there would be 1, 2, or more. It depends on the financial ability of each school or each club. They would have conferences and invite people from all over the United States. Of course, we cannot expect for the Diablo Valley College to have such large conference, but we were thinking of inviting universities and colleges from California, and with special emphasis on the Bay Area. But the main idea is to engage high school students in the programs which are working now in Diablo Valley College. It depends on the lifting of the distancing and also on other preparations, but we hope in the future we can work with there is a liaison office with the high schools. And I suggest that if you have any promotion program, you have to get the support of the liaison office in DVC with the high schools so they can communicate to the high school students, because we would like to see as many students from the high schools participating in activities in DVC. In the last 5 years or more, I had about 10 students from high school in my classes in DVC. And really, these students were doing very well. And why? Because they think that they are going to college, they will be with the college students, and they are still in the high school. And that would be an important program to encourage and promote.
So
That's my idea.
I totally agree with you, and I think it's really unfortunate that Kim Christiana just popped off because she is the person at the college that you would want to talk to. She's responsible for the relations with the high schools, and is part of the outreach program that outreaches to high schools. And studies show that anytime a student has gone onto our campus or any college, that they will come away with a much clearer and more favorable impression of community college, DVC, us, the programs that we offer. And it makes it such a, I mean, for the people that are going to go to a four-year college, know where they want to go, know what they want to do, it probably isn't going to change their behavior, but for the ones that aren't sure, it definitely can change theirs. And it also just raises our level of our reputation in the community. So there's never a downside to that, except for just people who are able to work and get that done. And so, like you said, if you've already talked to your department, and that's the hardest part, is really getting, and you know, Kim and the outreach people, I'm sure, would be happy to share information, as long as that information is all prepared already and it's clear, and you know that they know what to. Those are the kinds of details that can break down if it's not super clear, they don't understand, so then they can't communicate it to others well. But other than that, yes, the more things like that we have going out into the community, the better. And bringing students onto our campus that aren't necessarily our students. I've always thought we should have a SAT prep program at DVC. So students that are not even intending on necessarily coming to DVC, but come here, take the SAT prep course, and go away thinking that DVC is a lot better than they thought, and then they don't get into their school. Maybe they will come to us. So,
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you for the question. So I think others have dropped off. If there's no other questions, thanks so much for joining today. I know it's a hot day, it's a challenging day, but thanks for coming online and learning a little bit. And again, just reach out if you have any questions.
thank you, Lori.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Lori.
Bye, thank you.
Bye.